Two truths and one lie. The whole idea is that you think fast in English. After all these many months, you'll be well tuned to thinking super fast. So I'm looking for some quick fire questions that will identify which of my statements is a lie. So I'll give you the statements first. I was married in the cathedral in Prague Castle. I've eaten dog and bear and kangaroo. And I was a hotel inspector at the age of just 16 in Denmark. I'd like you to give me some quick fire questions so that I have to think really fast on my lie, and you can identify, there you go, you didn't think fast enough. Okay?
How do you arrange reservation to get married in St. Vitus Cathedral?
How did I arrange to get married in St. Vitus Cathedral? Brilliant question. It's actually easier than you think, much easier. I was lucky enough to meet, at the time, the Czech ambassador to Iceland. And he made it clear to me that if he could be the best man at my wedding, that he would help me arrange to have my wedding in St. Vitus Cathedral. So I called my brother and I asked him, would it be okay if he was the second best man? And I had this ambassador as my best man. He arranged everything for the cathedral in Prague Castle. But very good question. Any other questions?
What is the name of your priest?
My priest, okay. I was married not by a regular priest, but by a man called Canon Korzinek. He was very, very old. Canon Korzinek was about 80 years old at the time, so if he's still alive, he's about 100. I think he may have passed away. But super guy. Canon Korzinek was the name of the priest. Right, some other questions.
How many friends visited your wedding?
Actually, I had a very small wedding. I had about 80 guests, which 80 guests is quite small, I know. I mean, in my family, which is a huge family, it's not unusual to have maybe 300, 400 guests. But the Czech tradition is a bit smaller, so I had about 80 guests at my wedding. And very few members of family. Very few. Very few. It's mostly friends. Mostly friends. Any other questions?
What does it cost?
Nothing for me. Well, next to nothing. It's a wonderful Czech tradition that the father of the bride pays for everything. So I have 2 daughters, I'm in trouble. Right? As the father of 2 daughters, I'm looking forward to paying for weddings if they happen. Yeah, but it cost me nothing. My father-in-law paid for everything. But I think it was quite reasonable. Okay, more questions.
What's been the first question? No. It's this is for 3, but the first question. What's been a hotel inspector and
I was a hotel inspector. When I was 16 years old, my mother's sister had a travel agency. And she worked with a tourist board in Scotland, and she required to have the signatures of all of her business partners on the continent. So she hired me in the summer to travel to Denmark and collect all of the signatures for her. So I was a hotel inspector. Very probably.
How did you get this position, hotel inspector position, without experience?
It's actually quite easy. When your aunt owns the company, it was entirely what we call nepotism. It was nepotism, okay? Nepotism simply means a member of the family gets the job first. You're American, almost. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, you get the picture. If it wasn't a family company, I guess I wouldn't have been working as a hotel inspector. But it was family-based. More questions?
What did you do in a hotel when you was a hotel inspector?
When I was a hotel inspector, my job was very, very easy. Don't recall, I was 16 years old. So this is 32 years ago. It's a long time ago. Effectively, I just traveled from hotel to hotel and it ensured that the rooms were clean and the bathrooms were clean. That was my major. Yeah. I learned that F&B is not a swear word. F&B means food and beverage. But other than that, pretty much all I did was collect signatures and sleep in bedrooms that were clean. That was my job. It's not a lot of fun because when you're 16 and you have to eat breakfast alone and lunch alone and dinner alone, it's not a lot of fun. But I got paid very well, and my mother loved the fact that I was not in Scotland for the summer. Believe me. Okay.
Could you describe the taste of these three poor
Okay.
animals?
Number 2 says, I have eaten dog and bear and kangaroo. Dog, I couldn't even describe it because I didn't ask to have dog. Dog was provided. And so I politely tried dog, but it was not something that I would say I enjoyed or I would ever do again. Bear meat is actually rather strange because it's the closest thing I can describe it to is it's almost like fishy. It's got a kind of fishy texture. It's very gamey. And kangaroo is very, very dry. It's a bit like venison. It's a bit like, actually kangaroo meat, if it's cooked properly, is actually quite pleasant. But I had a very, very thin steak.
What about the place?
Where it was? This is a very good question. I was in Sydney in Australia. In Sydney, in Australia, they have a round rotating restaurant on a large tower. Have you been there?
In Sydney was a beer.
Ah, so you're saying bears in Sydney? I think you've just identified the problem. Here's the whole thing. Yes, I've tried dog, and yes, I've tried kangaroo, but bears in Australia is not going to happen. Well done. So you've identified that this is my lie. I was, in actual fact, I was technically married in the registry office because registry office weddings were the only legal option. But I did go to Prague Castle to have my marriage blessed. And I did not eat bear, but I did work as a hotel inspector in Denmark when I was 16. So well done. Okay, I'd like you all in your groups, I'll split into some small groups, to repeat this exercise. And 2 truths and 1 lie. Let's get you communicating.
Yeah, how long you stay in at
I was ugly. I'm still ugly, but I was a little ugly fat boy, and so they called me like fatty in front of my girlfriend. I became angry and I started fighting with them. And it happened. You know that. You know.
And I had this same problem when I broke my leg. It sounded weird. It's very funny. 3 months I stay at home and Brazilian serials, movies. Oh my god. 80 times I have a problem with the high mathematics because the next day I don't forget this. I don't see this guy anywhere. Sorry. It's very nice.
You should
I used to
Do you have
what is
something?
this?
I can sign her between the first and
My first cat passed away when I was about a year and a half.
I think
That's a
it's
dog.
In which city? West York. It was in West Yorkshire, Halifax town. You know. It's near to Birmingham. So,
I think it's a
If you have a dog
second.
but I have a lot of trips to
dogs
London,
typically last about 10, 15
to
years.
I think it's
So
second.
you know.
Who's right? You first? You think first?
I can sign her.
It's first. I think it's the second. You think it's
Every 6 years you
Second.
have your heart.
I think it's
you are right. Second, so I broke my
My family, the last as long as
Pen.
goldfish. Okay, so let's continue this one.
Oh, because you don't say it. How long? So you stay. You don't.
How did we identify that the file
You
was
stay in
online?
hospital minimum 2 days. I know. I
How
have.
did we identify it?
I mean, it's not good. It's not funny.
Nice stories.
Yeah, a little bit.
How many guns do you have?
Guns.
Rifles.
Rifles. Two rifles. One for hunting and the second one is just for shooting, training.
For shooting
For terrorists.
No,
For
Special one
purpose.
for shooting.
no. This the second one is not hadn't so.
The
Cut
second
it,
one
please.
can't kill you.
Did your father kill people?
Maybe.
Your boyfriend. My boyfriend. Yes.
Открываешь.
Okay, don't forget, I did this in English at all times.
Кстати, ручка дорогая.
Okay,
Грамс.
have we identified what the lie is?
Yes.
Which one? Which the lie?
Dogs.
The dog's the
Street
lie.
dogs, it's
Dogs.
why.
She have only one dog.
Ah,
I
she
don't know.
has only one.
Yes. You know me.
But that's a bit of a cheat. Really good exercise. Very pleased with the progress. Gentlemen, great performance with you at the back. We need to just learn to speak up a bit and be less shy. I know that there's a camera in the room, but I want you to be yourselves when we do this next time. So really good, well done, and we'll continue with this in our next class. Right, good performance. Well done.